Hello, Mr. Harris.
All right, so no stop.
All right, we're going to get started. My name is Jerome Harris. Today is April 16, 2015. I'm going to be giving an informative speech. My topic is going to be a comparison of cultures, the United States and the Middle East. The specific purpose is to inform you that Muslims are people with very similar lives just as we are, to give you a better understanding of the similarities and differences in Western culture and Middle Eastern culture. My thesis: our way in America is not no better than their way in the Middle East. My introduction: about 5 years ago, I went to the Middle East. I spent about 7 years in the Middle East. I made a lot of friends. I was immersed into the culture that was totally different from what I was accustomed to. But I found a lot of similarities and differences that changed my perspective about the Middle East. Today, we will discuss how adolescence is defined in the U.S. and Middle Eastern culture, the effects of religion on our societies, how gender roles differ in our societies versus theirs, stigmas and stereotypes of both cultures. First, let's begin by discussing adolescence defined in the U.S. At about the age of 13 through 18 in the U.S. culture or Western culture, which is known as teen years. In the Middle Eastern culture, there is no middle age. They go from childhood straight to adulthood. For example, at the age of 13, a female can legally get married in the Middle Eastern culture. And we know in the U.S. that can't happen because it'd be statutory rape or something like that. The Islamic culture only separates, as I said, life into childhood and adulthood. Puberty is the dividing line for the two stages. Secondly, the effects of religion on our societies. Islam provides a set of behavior guidelines that's understood as part of the culture, who they are, and more than how they behave. Islam is considered a religion as well as a social blueprint. The identity formation begins at a young age. You are told that you have to pray even if you don't know how to pray. Secondly, the U.S. and religion is simply a choice in Western culture, meaning most American teens usually follow the religion of their parents. But unlike Islam, there are more freedoms to choose or not to be religious at all. I'm going to quote some statistics to you. The U.S. population is 51% Protestant, 23.9% Roman Catholic, 1.7% Mormon, 1.7% Jewish, 7% Buddhist, 6% Muslim, about 2% other unspecified, 12.1% unaffiliated, meaning no religion at all. Middle Eastern countries: Saudi Arabia, 100% Muslim. Egypt, 90% Muslim. 1% Christian, Iran, 98% Muslim. Shia, 89%, and Sunni, 9%. Thirdly, how gender roles differ in society. The Middle Eastern culture dictates how people of a certain gender must act, and even their job selections. Like, for instance, women, they can't freely choose what they want to do. It's getting better, but it's not like in the U.S. For example, in Kuwait, they have just started to allow women into the government parliament, which they use the term ministry. In the U.S., we are fortunate enough to act with no cultural repercussion and choose which job suits us best. Middle Eastern women are now starting to break the norms, going to school, which improves society as a whole. Social roles are strained. Women must be submissive. and extremely modest, meaning they can't like dress with shorts and mini skirts or anything like that. So they have to be very modest. Lastly, stigmas and stereotypes. People in other countries usually have misconceptions about life in America. They get their perceptions from American movies, music, and television shows. Meaning, unless they have to interact with someone, that's the only perception that they have, or what they see or what they hear. The fact that the media is controlled by a foreign government and they can sway people's perception in the direction they choose. Most of the time, it's negative stereotype of the U.S. Most people think the Middle East is one big sandy desert with people riding around on camels, populated by men wearing turbans and men dresses, or white robes, which is really called a distache. And women wear black abayas. This is the standard perception. And their faces are covered. Husband with 4 wives. And they sit at home getting checks from their oil revenue. This is so far from the truth. They have jobs, they have families, they have cars, there are vast malls. All of the American creature comforts we have come to know and appreciate, they enjoy as well. Here are a few of the American stigmas. All Americans are rich. This is what they think about us. Americans are hypocritical. Americans have no family values. Here are some Muslim stigmas. All Muslims are terrorists. Not true. They can't be trusted. Not true. They all have hidden agendas. Not true. That's just to name a few. I'll review the points that I went over. This is what we discussed. How adolescence is defined in the U.S. and Middle Eastern culture. The effects of religion on our societies. How gender roles differ in our societies versus theirs. Stigmas and stereotypes of both cultures. In closing, I hope this presentation has cleared up some of your stereotypes, as well as gave some clarity to some of the positive things in the Middle Eastern culture, along with how and why their cultures, customs, and people are the way they are. Also, I hope it has caused us to have an introspective look at why we are the way we are. Thank y'all for y'all time, and that concludes my presentation.